I'm wrestling, not weak for me. Celebrate what I am. Celebrate what I have been. Celebrate what I represent. And celebrate the many ways I have impacted your life. I will survive this test as I have survived others. I am forever etched into the very fiber of all mankind. The world needs me. Time is on my side. History guarantees me. I am wrestling. Do not wait for me.
What's up, everybody? This is Ben Askren. I am your host of the T-Row and Funky Show. I'm here, as always, with Mr. Tommy Rowlands. And, Tommy, you called me today. Man, you were all fired up. I haven't seen you that passionate about anything. So, I know we got a guest coming on here in a minute, but give us a little preview of what you're so fired up about.
Oh, I was a little fired up because this weekend I was watching my daughter play a soccer game at, 8 or 9 in the morning, and I saw that Molinaro lost. Reese Humphrey made a poll on, basically suggesting if we should evaluate our qualification process on how we make the Olympic team. Should it be results-based? Should it be a selection committee? Should we leave it as is? I made the mere suggestion that it might be worth exploring other avenues, perhaps results-based. And I got what you would call straw-manned. Ben, do you know what a straw-man argument is?
Well, Tommy, I wasn't fully sure of it, but obviously you informed me earlier today, so now
I told you what it is, but I'm going to read the definition because it explained to me what happened to me. Straw man is a common form of argument and is an informal fallacy based on giving the impression of refuting an opponent's argument while actually refuting an argument that was not advanced by that opponent. So anyways, I had a lot of people come at me on Twitter, in particular Christian Piles, as to suggesting that the qualification system in the United States is flawed. That's why we didn't qualify 65 kilo. I'm wearing Buckeye-colored glasses and this, that, and the other thing. And I was merely just having a casual conversation with a friend of mine, Reese Humphrey, on Twitter. The timing might have suggested that I have a problem with our qualification system in the United States when I really don't.
Tommy, let me stop you there because part of the problem
I never made it seem that way.
Part of the problem with Twitter is it's 140 characters.
Our qualification system is not good enough. I was merely making an exploratory remark about how we can potentially come up with a systemic way to select our Olympic team that might be a little bit better. But there's a big difference between that and having a problem with the qualification process.
So Tommy, I know you got cut off there for a second. What I was trying to say is your first issue there is people take Twitter way out of context. It's 140 characters. You can't get your full thoughts through. And then, like you said, some people take what you said totally out of context. So I think, obviously...
I think it was actually, you're right, and I think it was opportunistic on Christian Piles' part because he's a journalist / wrestling media member for a living, and he needs something to talk about. And so we're in the dead of...
Are you calling CP out right now?
Well, I'm just saying, he's doing his job. I don't blame him. I mean, I do my job. I sell produce, so sometimes I'm slanting my argument to my advantage too. But I got strawmanned, and I was just making comments. I think there's merit in some of my comments. Actually, there's merit in all of them. But the fact that it's suggested that I have a problem with our current qualification process is not even close to accurate. The best part about our qualification process as is that it is 100% fair and just.
Hey, Tommy, you know what I just realized? I'm sorry. I got ADHD. You know what I realized?
What?
I realized I just told our call-in guest the wrong time. I told him 7:20 Pacific, but I should have told him 6:20 Pacific. Because I was wondering why he wasn't calling in.
So did you just unrecord it?
No, we'll just roll. We don't edit. We'll just roll. We'll talk, and I'll tell him to call in at a different time. I'll tell him.
We don't do this for a living.
I'll tell him to call in in like 30 minutes. We'll be all good.
It's fine. Yeah.
Okay, so listen. You keep telling me about what you think America should do at 65 kilos. I'm gonna text.
It's not even about you're doing it too. It's not even it's not even about 65 kilos.
Okay, well you just tell me what America should do in general, and I'm gonna text.
I don't know if America should do anything differently. Our current qualification system is completely fair and just, and most of the time, maybe even more than most of the time, the vast majority of the time, the cream rises to the top. We get the right guy on our team. I think Frank Molinaro had a great tournament. I actually think he had a pretty good year, and to the point that everybody's making, he actually wrestled pretty well in these qualification events. And probably the biggest root of the reason why we don't have a guy at the Olympics at that weight class is that it's the deepest weight class in the world. It's not even that we're bad at that weight, because even though we didn't qualify the weight, I could see us medaling at that weight. That's how.
What?
I could.
Come on.
I really could.
Give me a
I really
break.
could. We got plenty of guys that medaled overseas. We've got guys that have lots of junior world medals. You got Metcalf placing in the Oregon. There's been plenty of evidence. We've beaten, I think we've beaten 4 world medalists within this quad this year at that weight class.
Yeah, but Tommy, when you're talking about Metcalf, Molinaro doing well at these qualification tournaments, well, the best guys in the world, the best countries in the world already qualified for the Olympics, so they didn't even show up. So really, this is kind of your next tier, right? Going into these tournaments, you already had, 13
Yeah, no,
guys
I'm not
qualified?
saying that we're world beaters at the weight, but I'm just saying, as for everyone that wants to knock that we didn't qualify the weight, and there's plenty of reasons to knock it. If we did qualify the weight, I wouldn't say there's no way we can medal at that weight. I wouldn't have said that. I mean, I was feeling good about Metcalf going into the Vegas Worlds.
Really?
Yeah.
But Metcalf always scared me because of what happened. He's got limited offense, and he's never been able to get it done on the world stage. And as much as I like him, and I was actually sad when he didn't make the team, because he's a guy who's been with us for every time. And for if you told me in 2008 that Metcalf was never going to make an Olympic team, that'd be a pretty shocking statement to make. Right. So, but as good as we've been, as many opportunities we've had, and you said we've beat some world medals. Yeah, we have. The Serafian guys, I think, he's been beaten by 3 of our guys, so maybe he's not a very good world champion.
He hasn't had a good year, but we've beaten. I want to say it's 4 world medalists this year. 4 world medalists within the quad we've beaten this year. So is it inconceivable to say, I would have said the odds are slightly against us, but not, it's not like, I can't even think of a guy, winning the national tournament. And so, long story short, I couldn't have defended myself on Twitter. I didn't even really want to. I didn't want to dignify it with a response. But to look at our qualification system more critically and evaluate if there's a way where we can get people that perform at a higher rate on the global stage and make a system that provides more of an assurance that they're on our team. There's nothing wrong with that logic of looking into that.
Well, Tommy, I would say my argument here is I don't totally disagree with what you're saying here, but my argument would be we do. Burroughs and Snyder earned the ability to sit out the tournament. And yes. I believe there's some extra caveat in there, whereas if they got beat, then the person would have to outplace them at future tournaments or something to that extent. So we do. We give those guys who earn it.
Right. I agree.
We
do plenty of these things, and I don't think we have a bad qualification process. But if I were to really look at this critically, Ben, the American, and this is like, you can't even put this on paper, but this is the truth. The American style of wrestling operates in a vacuum compared to the rest of the world. And so when we wrestle each other, it's not always the best indication of how we're going to compete against a unique European style, which is what we have to compete against. And we have athletes that are not the number one American that do better against that style. And it's proven when we go overseas. I did this myself. I've been overseas over 30 times. I've wrestled in Eastern Europe. I've gone way deep into Russia. And I see it. I know it. It's a fact. And so for us to critically look at somebody's performance overseas and provide merit in a reward or points-based system or something along those lines, where there is a nod given to overseas international performance in the year that we're talking about making the team, it's not without merit. That comment is legitimate. You know that as well as I do, Ben.
But let me play devil's advocate here for you, Tommy. There's none of those examples on our team today. There's none of them. There's no one who, in 2016, in freestyle wrestling, I don't think you can give me one example of a guy who didn't make the team who has had a high amount of success at the world level. Your only one would really be Jake Varner, but he's sitting behind a world champion, so deal with it, right?
Right.
But even at, say, 80...
There's the obvious ones are on the team. And so we cannot use Jordan Burroughs and Kyle Snyder's examples as to why our qualification system works. Because, like Russ Hellickson told me, I don't deserve as much credit for coaching my national champions as I do from coaching the guy that was round of 12 and getting them to place fourth. And that's what I'm talking about here. I'm talking about the guys.
I mean, think about it. At 65 kilo, now some of those guys had slightly more success. But which one of those guys has went and won on an international level on a regular basis? The answer is none of them. None of them.
I feel like the timing of this discussion automatically makes people think that it has something to do with me thinking that Molinaro wasn't the right choice or Reese Humphrey having sour grapes. I mean, it's the same logic as me thinking that Christian Piles is opportunistic and framing the argument so that he has something to talk about this week because he's a journalist. And I understand that.
Okay,
I really do.
Let's speak historically in the last, say, 8 to 10 years, right? Because that's when our audience would.
You're not going to like this, Ben, because
Sure.
you're a very outspoken guy. But I don't even want to go down this road because here's why.
Why?
Because I have to talk about people whom I respect immensely that they deserve to be on the team.
Well,
and I have
don't
to tell
maybe
you
quote
that
Terry Brands.
What's that?
You didn't deserve it. You get what you earn.
Right,
Is that right?
but they followed the rules of the game accordingly, and they're on the team. And then I have to say, well, there's a guy behind them that probably would have done better. And I don't even want to go there.
But let's not assume who would have done better, right? Let's just talk about very clear situations where guys had high-level world success. Like I know one. A guest we had on the show, Andy Rovat, pinned Mo in 2006. In 2005, if you don't remember, Mo was in the world quarterfinal and was absolutely robbed of advancing to the semifinal when he was beating Sajidov, and the refs stole it. The refs stole it from him.
Whatever we want to call it.
Whatever his name is. The refs totally stole it from him, right? And so he should have been in the world semifinals. Everyone thought he was kind of the next star at that weight. And then Rovat... it wasn't the best 2 out of 3 this year, and Rovat pins him in a chest lock. And then and then next year they say, we got to go back to the best 2 out of 3. And then funny enough, Rovat beats Mo 2 out of 3 in 2008 to make the Olympic team. But I can't really think of another situation where it's been distinctive that one guy has more success on the world level than the other, but the other one makes the team. I mean, like we'll say Steve or Pico, right? They've had some success at the international level, but they're not winning everything, right? They're placing, they're doing well, they're having some success, but they're not killing. They're not absolutely killing it. Is that a fair assessment?
Here's the thing, and I don't want this to be about why we didn't qualify this year's weight class, because quite honestly, my opinions would be no different if we had all the weights qualified. I actually think that the current qualification system is the most fair and the most just way to decide the team. What I'm saying is that if you slant it towards somebody that does better overseas, is that wrong?
No,
we'd still have Kyle Snyder on the team. We'd still have Jordan Burroughs on the team, but it's all about fielding the best team. And this is a tryout. It is a wrestle off.
Yeah.
In the context of what we're talking about, that's what it is. So when you are trying to put the best team on the mat, it's worth exploring the options of how to do that.
Sure, long term, I don't think you're going to get a way to do it without having some kind of true wrestle off. Otherwise, it's going to be un-American. If we're picking the team, that's un-American.
I think the only thing that's un-American. I think the only thing that's un-American is taking an individual sport and have the coach select it. But I don't think it's un-American to say, here's how you make the Olympic team. Ready, set, go.
Yeah, of course.
There's nothing un-American about that. And it might not be a wrestle-off, but it's saying, here's how you make the team. If you have a world medal, then all you have to do is be the guy that, if you have a world medal and then you medal in the upcoming year in 2 of these 5 events, Medved, Urigan, whatever they are, then you're automatically on the team.
But what if multiple people do that?
What's that?
What if multiple people do that?
But if you have the world medal, then you go. To me, taking the current system and saying it's right and me throwing ideas out, obviously you can punch holes in them, but you could have a systemic way to reward people who go to those 4 or 5 tournaments and hang up medals, and you reward them in some way, shape, or form in our qualification process, and not just with seeds. I'm talking about real advantages here, as opposed to the guys who are number 1, number 2, number 3 in the United States, and they can't buy a win when they go to Europe and wrestle. And that exists in our wrestling culture. Why? Because we are not the dominant country, and we do have a unique style, and we wrestle against a style at the world level that we're not familiar with. And some guys do better with that more than others. And to me, that matters. The United States Olympic Committee, they give us funding based on medals, Ben. They don't give us funding at whether or not we qualified the weight, whether or not some guy got to walk in the opening ceremonies. They give us money based on medals. Yeah. Medals at the world and Olympic level.
So you're saying I failed this, Tommy.
What's that? Hey, I failed us. I didn't make the team. But you didn't do anything that another guy wouldn't have done at the Olympics, Ben. Yeah. Let's be honest.
Yeah, okay, well, let's take this for example. So in that quad that I made the team, 2007, Donnie Pritzloff beats me, I think, 2 times, right? And he was also a world bronze medalist.
In 06, yep.
06, but by the time we did 2008, I think I beat him, I don't know.
I completely agree, and
3 or 4 times in a row. So, he's got a very recent world medal, right? 2 years ago.
That's why it's complicated. I think you have to put a lot of weight into how you're wrestling leading up to the event.
Yeah.
And that's why you have to really give a lot of credence to our existing qualifying process. You really have to give a lot of merit to that. But to make our, it's worth. I'm not even trying to change the damn system. That's what bothers me is I got strawmanned.
What I'm
saying is that there is merit in discussing this, and I guarantee you that it has been discussed before. Ben, in the 70s, if you had Frank Molinaro's seed, you would have had to wrestle the number 8 guy.
77 matches.
Then the number 7 guy, then the number 6 guy. So that obviously wasn't right, and that was American wrestling. Yeah. Frank Molinaro would have never made the damn team.
He would have wrestled 27 matches.
He would have never made it. So the qualification process changes every now and again.
Yeah.
Based on new ideas, based on current environments, based on a lot of things. And so the comment was made in an exploratory way, and it got turned into sour grapes. You're a Buckeye wrestling fan. You don't respect Molinaro. I got some tweets like that. I said, what are you talking about?
Well, Tommy, my actual favorite, since we're complaining about Twitter, right? Because that's essentially what you're complaining about right now.
Yes, it is.
My favorite is when you retweet someone because you want to show how stupid they are because they made it.
And people think you're endorsing it.
And people think you're endorsing it.
That's
and
great.
You're like, what in the world just happened here? I'm trying to show people these people are stupid and they don't even get it.
Right.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so let's get off theoretical.
Yeah, we're done now. That's all I need.
Theoretical.
I'm so happy. This is why I like having a podcast, though.
You get your thoughts out. But Tommy, how bad is it? Tell me how bad, how catastrophic. It's bad, right? And we might have Rich back on. I don't know. He's gonna have to explain something. But I mean, in my recent memory, the most weights America has not qualified is one, and that's been a Greco weight a couple times. And
but
I
we
can
didn't
really remember back to
qualify
96.
Zadig in 08. We didn't do our job in 08.
Well,
and we got handed a gift.
Sure. Okay. Sure. I'll give you that. But I mean, five out of 18, right? That's roughly 30%. That's pretty rough.
Yeah. It's not good. It's not good. I mean, I will say there's a lot of reasons why. There's a lot of reasons why that is, but there's no country in the world that has, in my opinion, a more resourceful system to create our country's best the world's best wrestlers. And Rich said that when we had him on.
But so where at what level does this fall on? I think it's funny because folk style often gets blamed for the faults of our international wrestlers. But I think it's funny because at 65 kilos, two of the guys who stopped us from qualifying that weight were guys who came through the folk style American system, right? They wrestled high school and college folk style 9 years, and then went on to wrestle for their respective countries. I know obviously Frank still trains at Nittany Lion. I think Boris trains part time at Illinois Wrestling Training Regional Training Center. So folk style is this demon to a lot of people sometimes, but obviously in this case you can't make that argument. So what needs to happen moving forward, and who's to blame, if anyone, and is there anything we can do about it to make it better?
I do think folk style is partially to blame. I think that if you look at Ben, just look at the average age of a world champion from a country not named the United States and the average age of a world champion from the United States. It's like 21 or 22 years old is the average age of the world champion from another country.
We're talking about the first time they win it? Or?
First time they win it. And in the United States, it's like 27 or 8. So we're taking the prime years away from the human body in the sport of wrestling because the rest of the world shows us that. And we're devoting not only our greatest physical time to hone in on our craft to the collegiate level, but we're emotionally committed to winning the NCAA championship. I was.
Okay, but Tommy, let me really do this. I told you this argument the other day when we were on the phone. So if you take our wrestlers, right, our 65 kilogram wrestlers that were at the World Team Trials, and you put Franklin Gomez and Novikov in there, Novikov, I think. If you put them in there, right, we wouldn't rate Novikov or Gomez very close to the top, in my opinion. I think they'd be sitting around
so much deeper than that, though.
No, it doesn't. But they all wrestle.
It does because if you've got every guy, every wrestler that we're talking about, and every coach that we know, and every media wrestling outlet talking about the Olympics only, and I'm defending gut wrenches and hitting leg laces when I'm 6, and I'm hitting a 3-point throw to win my state title, and I'm hitting a gut with 10 seconds to go in the match to hang up an NCAA title, and I'm charging into the World and Olympic team trials at age 21, and not only me, but hundreds and hundreds of other guys that are really good at the sport, we would crush Russia.
Oh no, there's no way. There's no proof.
Dude, there's 50,000 wrestlers in Russia.
No way.
There's 50,000.
No.
Do you know, Ben, Vladikavkaz, Makhachkala?
Yeah, I've been there.
Mountains down in the southern part of Russia. It's like the size of Ohio.
But that's just like saying...
That's where they all come from, dude. It's that area, Dagestan, Makhachkala, Vladikavkaz, Chechnya. That region is where 80% of these dudes come from. It's the size of freaking Ohio.
But that just means they have great coaching and a great system. That doesn't mean that there's something... I mean, when I made that argument last year... our guys are not improving after wrestling exclusively freestyle. They're not. And but the argument I would have here is that Novikov and Gomez have improved since college significantly.
How can you say that? What has Novikov done internationally that blows your mind?
I mean, he got robbed against the Russian in the quarters last year. He got robbed. I mean, robbed. I mean, just the match was stolen from him. So likely he would have been, I think, in the semifinal.
But he's training in the United States. Ben?
No, he spends part of his time in Bulgaria. But Novichokov wasn't anywhere near a Metcalf level or a Oliver level.
I thought he was pretty good.
No,
I mean,
yeah, he
his
was pretty
talent
good,
level,
but he wasn't
his
Metcalf.
talent level would have suggested otherwise, that he would have a pretty good international career.
No, that's crazy talk. He wasn't Steve or Metcalf or Oliver level. His college career was nothing like that.
He did beat
Who?
He beat Humphrey in college.
Yeah, but Humphrey wasn't a good college wrestler.
Okay, exactly. So he improved.
Not obviously good, but not.
So he improved.
Yeah, I mean, I think your argument.
It's just no. What we're doing is we're grasping at straws. We're doing straw man arguments to each other.
Well, no, we got. I mean, we got to discuss this somehow, right? We can't just say this is an impossible argument. How are we ever going to figure it out?
I have nothing. I have no data to give you because the data doesn't exist. All I know is this. I know this about me, or I feel this way about me. I don't know this about me. If all I ever did was freestyle, I think I would have been more of an impact at an earlier stage in my career at the international level. I would have honed in on those skills that were missing and done better. I mean, how could I not say that's the case?
I mean, that seems like what should happen, right? But statistics aren't proving that. I mean,
because we don't have any statistics. We don't have.
No, our guys aren't getting better post college. They aren't. I made that graph. We saw that our guys are not getting better after college. This is not happening. Their best results are coming as close to college as they can come. There's very, very, very Daniel Dennis.
Yeah, I agree with that, but maybe they would be even better if they were doing freestyle. I mean, to some extent, when you get to that level, you either have it or you don't. I mean, you've heard that before.
Yeah, of course. I mean, by the time we get to an international career, we're 15 years deep in our wrestling.
In the average age of the world champion in the United States, I forget what it was. It was a stat USA Wrestling was providing to us when I was training. But these dudes, we're like 26 or 27 average for our first world title. And the rest of the world is like 21. Well, doesn't that tell you something, Ben? That 5-year gap is going to college.
I don't think the whole system of America is going to change the freestyle anytime soon. So let's talk about real solutions that can really happen, and let's talk about why Borislav Novichokov, who lost to Kellen Russell twice and never won an NCAA title, is now going to represent his country in the Olympics. But we can't have 4-time NCAA champions or Hodge Trophy winners representing our country because we didn't qualify that weight.
But
right?
I don't think
something happened there.
I just don't think Borislav would have. I think if you put him in the Olympic trials, he would have had just as good a chance as the 5 or 6 guys that had a chance a month ago. I mean, I don't think that's a good example. I mean, you put him in the Olympic trials, I wouldn't make him.
All right, Gomez. I mean, Gomez has got a world silver medal.
Yeah, there's a lot of people. I mean, are we going to take this Espinal guy and use him as an example?
He's terrible.
Well, he got a
silver medalist.
Let's use him as an example, Ben.
He's terrible.
You know what I'm saying?
Don't even get me started.
So,
yeah, I mean, I think there's something. I mean, and I've said this for a while, and obviously I wrestled at the international level for the United States. I think there's something we're missing, and I don't think it's folk style. I mean, obviously, I see the common sense.
I don't think you can pinpoint. I mean, yeah. I think it's.
But you got to do your best, right? If you're Rich Bender or you're a coach in the American system, you got to try to make some guesses at what it is, right? It's like when you're wrestling, Tommy. I was trying to explain this to a kid the other day, good high school wrestler, right? But sometimes he looks to his coach for too many answers. I told him, listen, when you get challenges, you got to figure it out, right? Mm-hmm. And then that's how you get better because you keep running into this roadblock and you figure out what is causing me to fail here. Mm-hmm. And then you figure it out. And then the next time you hit that situation, you got the answer ready, boom, and you're through it, right? Mm-hmm. And then you hit some more roadblocks and you figure them out and boom, and you're through it. So what's our roadblock? Where are we hitting it and why are we hitting it? Because obviously, if we have 5 weights not qualified for America, and 65 kilo, I was way off. I was personally way off because I said this is possibly the best weight in American history, and that's crazy talk because it's not even it's technically the worst out of the 6 weights, just in this 2016 year because it's the only one that's not qualified.
Well, yeah, and we had 4 opportunities. 4. So it's not like we had 1. We had
4.
We had the World Championships in Vegas. We had the Pan Am qualifier. We had Mongolia, and we had where were we last week? Turkey.
Yep.
So we had 4 chances. We didn't get it through. I just, I don't like to appear as if I'm giving American. I mean, it's unacceptable.
Well, right? If
here's the thing, Ben. It's unacceptable, and I don't think. I mean, no one would say that it is. I don't think it's acceptable. But, and I hate saying that, but there's a lot of reasons why it's harder to do what we used to do 25 years ago. There's a lot.
I mean, so this is the kind of question I was trying to ask Rich. And obviously we speculated, but I think through the last 4 Olympics, there are the same amount of qualification spots per weight. That's correct, right?
What do you mean by that? I don't follow.
Like, say, 20 qualification spots per weight class.
Yeah, there's like 18 or 19.
18 or 19,
now,
whatever it is.
I think it's the same, yeah.
So it's been the same.
There's one less weight class.
There's one less weight class, which obviously means
same amount of wrestlers in the world.
Sure. So,
and what weight class got squeezed the most? What weight area got squeezed the most? Well, the one that didn't qualify.
Yeah.
Also, what body type are most people on the planet? Either 65 or 74. That area, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, it's like I don't want to be Mr. Give the USA a break because it is unacceptable because we have all these resources. I'm just saying it's a Rubik's Cube. It's not a 2+2.
Yeah, but you see that little kid that has the little blindfold on. He figures that Rubik's Cube out with his
right
without even looking at it.
He's a genius.
So who are we gonna put at the top of USA Wrestling?
I agree. It's a heck of a job. It is. It's fun. It reminds me of a lot of challenges.
Yeah. So I mean, but overall, right? We should expect America to do better.
Should be top 18 in the world, no matter what.
Thank God. Yes, we should. So, I didn't even mention Jesse Tilke. I watched him because he's a Wisconsin native. Been around him. He attended my camps when he was like little kid, tiny little kid, and he's around once in a while. And man, he wrestled his butt off. Qualified the spot. He brought the heat. So that was awesome.
It was awesome. Really awesome.
So, I guess I'll spoil our guest. We haven't named him. Mr. Nick Zinkin's going to come on, who was a big part of bringing Fresno State wrestling back. And Fresno State made their hire today. So they hired Troy Steiner, and I think this is one of the great stories in NCAA wrestling right now is that a program got brought back from nowhere, and they're starting up again. They're not going to have a team next year, but they will field the team the year after that. So, I mean, that's really exciting. So we're going to kind of
It is exciting. And I think Steiner's a great – I mean, he's just all – you're not going to hear negative things said about him. Everyone really, says high remarks for him.
Of course. 100%. I agree. So that's who we're going to bring on a little bit later. You got anything else to get off your chest about that 65-kilo situation or anything else?
Not really. It's just very circumstantial. Figuring out a way to be a preeminent powerhouse in the world for American wrestling. It's a freaking Rubik's Cube, and we do have a lot of resources. We pay a lot of people to figure it out. They do it for a living, so I'm not trying to say that expectation shouldn't be there. But this is tough, man. This is trying to be the best on the planet.
So you think, let me see, right now, your guess, did some heads roll because they only qualified 13 out of 18?
No, I think all that matters is medals, dude. Dude, I'm telling you right now.
Okay.
If we get 3 medals in freestyle, 2 medals in Greco, and 2 medals in women's, nobody's going to care about. Nobody at the United States.
That would be a great showing because I mean,
well, that's right. That's exactly what I'm saying. And so, do you really think that since Kyle Snyder, Jordan Burroughs, and Jaden Cox each get a medal, that is indicative of our system, or is that indicative of them? And so it just gets into this like circumstantial discussion of okay, so now the American wrestling system is called into question because we didn't qualify the weight, but then Tervel, Jaden, Kyle, and Jordan have a good tournament, and then 3 months later the American wrestling system couldn't be better. I mean, this is wrestling here. It's tough. You know what I mean? So to me, when I say what's the best way to make our system have a lot of depth year in and year out, I mean, if we switch to freestyle, which is completely impractical, I feel like that would change it within 5 years.
Well, I'll tell you one thing that I actually talked to a good friend about this morning, and I think will change, or maybe is changing the system. We'll see how it affects it. Dude, I heard that there's some big money offers being made for Nashawn Garrett, Jimmy Kennedy, and David Taylor.
To do what?
To come train. Just train. That's it. And Tommy, you know as I know, this didn't exist for us even in 2008.
No way.
Didn't exist. I mean, we were not being paid very much at all to just train, and we were expected to do some coaching duties as well. But so what I always thought that if I could do nothing but focus on wrestling, I would be able to do better. And that's kind of where Jordan Burroughs is at, and he's one of the only guys in America I think that's on that level. But now it seems that some bids are being made for Nashawn Garrett, David Taylor, and Jimmy Kennedy. They're going to get paid a large amount of money, a very large, right? I'm not saying that lightly.
Is this Arizona State?
I heard that's one of them. That's for one of them, but not the other two. And I think if those guys are able to really legitimately focus on nothing but wrestling, not coaching the college team, not doing camps and seminars, but really just how do I be the best wrestler I can be, I think that's going to help. I don't know if it will. We'll see. Maybe it does. Maybe it doesn't.
I think it'll help. I mean, it also just helps the college program to say that those guys live on their campus. I mean, that's the motivation. That's where the money comes from, my opinion.
Yeah. So I think that's
where's Kennedy and Taylor getting offered?
Well, I can't. My source asked me to keep it secret, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to respect that for now. I mean, maybe it'll be reported. They are. I think those two are kind of a package deal, right? Because
obviously it's not Columbus, or I would have commented on it.
David is married to Jimmy Kennedy's sister, right? Or engaged.
They're getting married, or they're married, or something like that.
Something to that effect. So those two might be somewhat of a package deal. But I thought that was a very interesting development. Is that guys are actually, I don't know, maybe Stever is at Ohio State. I don't know. Do those guys at the Ohio RTC, are they expected to have some coaching duties as well, or are they just expected to train?
No, their only job is to train. Now, that being said, sometimes they're expected to participate in RTC workouts where, other RTC guys that are also in college get to work out with them, so it's like you got to be there.
Yeah, of course.
But they don't have to coach. They don't have to come to the college practices. They don't have to do anything that interferes, in my opinion, with their goal of being a world Olympic champion. So it's a pretty unique environment. I know that those environments exist elsewhere, probably I would say legitimately 5 or 6 places in the country. And
so, I mean, I don't know if you can discuss, or I don't know that you know, but Ohio RTC, are they getting paid like a real legitimate salary, like something you could be proud of?
They're getting paid enough to where they don't have to worry about going to the movies on a Friday night with their wife, or paying rent in a decent apartment, or having a car payment where they're driving a car that's, not more than, 5 years old,
Wow. Okay.
So they're able to earn more than modest, but not lucrative.
Cool. Well, that's good. Because I think that'll make the system better. I think if guys,
I wouldn't call it a humble living that they have, but it's nothing to write home about. I mean, they just,
But if you can get paid a decent salary and focus on nothing but wrestling, that's fantastic.
You're able to be focused on wrestling.
That's
the only
great.
reason you would be focused on making more than what the RTC gives you is because you want it.
Okay.
Not because you need it.
Hey, can I bring up? I'm going to get way off topic. Can I bring up one more topic that I told you I wanted to do? Has it bugging me for a while that I wanted to talk about?
Yeah.
But we never brought up. And we're going to bring up the FRL show again, which you were picking on CP. Well, I'm going to pick on Willie a little bit.
Let's do it.
Man, we're wrecking their show right now. Willie,
Hey,
CP, we
well,
love you guys, but we're shaking you down
They
tonight.
didn't mention my name, but all of the tweets they suggested was either from Reese Humphrey or me. So, it was about my tweets.
Yeah. So Willie has said so many times now on his show, the college season's too long. It grinds these guys down. It's a grind. Blah, blah, blah. Dude, Tommy, I don't know about you. I freaking loved it. I couldn't wait till season started. I was sad when it ended. And maybe I'm a freak, but I just loved competing. I loved it.
You want me to be honest?
Sure, go ahead.
You're kind of a freak.
Really? So you don't feel that way?
Well, I love wrestling, and I loved the college season in a way. The only time where I'm like siding with Willie, when he says it's just an all-out grind and it's too long, is my freshman year. I mean, I had nothing left in the tank. I got second, so you would think that I had all this charge. I mean, if it was another week, I think I would have fallen apart. You know what I mean?
Really?
But I don't think it's too long. I guess I'm kind of on the fence with that. I mean, I know what he's saying. There's an element of it that is pretty long, but yeah, I mean, the guys that are getting it done don't feel that way all the time. I mean, they're excited about competing. They love to compete. They love to they love to be, out there when the lights are on. So why would I be opposed to another weekend of lights?
Yeah, I mean that is how I felt. I love that shit. And so I was sad when the season was over. I was happy when it got started. I never felt like, and I was excited to go to practice. I loved it. So maybe if we took a survey of 100 wrestlers, they wouldn't feel that way. That's how I felt. So I don't think it needs to be shortened. I could see some things being changed around here and there to make a little more sense, especially if we want to have a dual meet focus. But as far as the length of it, I'm good. I could also get the argument that you can make it a one semester thing. I think that makes sense.
Right.
But you don't. In my opinion, you don't have to shorten it. That's maybe just my opinion. I
don't think it's gonna. I don't know what it would accomplish.
Shortening the season. I don't know what it would accomplish either. Maybe I think his point is that guys are burnt out and they don't want to wrestle in freestyle. But I think right now,
in the off season or when their college career ends.
No, in the off season of during their college career. And I always wrestled in freestyle, so obviously that didn't apply to me either. I think a lot of our best guys right now are wrestling freestyle.
Well, I think that the undertone here in American wrestling, I mean, the good thing is that, I mean, I think it's a great time to be named the head coach of the U.S. national team. I mean, there is a young crop moving through here that are age 19, 20, 21 that are doing things at the cadet and junior level on a world level that, and I'm sure that some numbers guys can get this out real quick, but I feel like our results at the cadet and junior worlds in the past 5 or 6 years are way better than the years prior to that.
Well, but that's kind of a little bit of a misnomer, Tommy, because if you remember, we never attended. Nick's calling in.
And this, I don't want this to be a vanilla answer, even though it's kind of a vanilla question. But what were the things that you guys thought were important in hiring a head coach so you get somebody out there that really can do the job on the West Coast and start something from scratch?
Well, you wanted somebody with a marquee name who's going to be recognized by the young high school wrestlers as someone that, hey, I would love to go wrestle for a guy like that. Obviously, that's big. You want someone who had some familiarity with recruiting from this area, which Troy has. You want somebody who is gonna, bringing back a program. You want the program in safe hands and not have any mishaps or scandals or problems right out of the get-go and start making everyone scratch their head and thinking, well, was this the right thing to do? And, in one conversation with Troy, you could tell it would be very hard to entrust a program with in better hands. He's just aside from being an outstanding wrestling coach, he's just a guy who's got the utmost integrity and character and core values as most anyone you'll ever meet. And so I feel safe. I feel like we've got the program. He's going to be able to keep the kids going to class, keeping them in check on the weekend, doing those kinds of things that are going to keep the program in a positive light and moving forward, as opposed to, maybe someone who's fresh off the mat, who's an outstanding wrestler, but maybe still kind of a kid himself and doesn't have the mature, hasn't totally matured from a coaching standpoint. like Troy has. I wanted somebody with more coaching experience and more ability to take care of the program. Those things were important to me.
Nice. And so I told Tommy, we talked about the Fresno State coming back, and we were kind of talking about a couple other programs, and you mentioned it right off the bat, Nick, and I said, if you could draw a fence around, say, an hour and a half or 2 hour radius from where Fresno State is located, you're going to encompass a very large amount of very high-level wrestlers. I mean, you can make your team out of just that circle of wrestlers, right? And so I think dropping a fence around where you're not letting those recruits get out to Oklahoma State, and Penn State, and Iowa on a regular basis is going to be super important for Troy to have success. Is that something you feel, and is there a feel within the community that, hey, we want to stay home and we want to give this area something to be proud of?
Yes, absolutely. And the other thing I was doing, Ben, during this process, I was consulting with the Terrapellis, who obviously play a key role here in the high schools. Buchanan just won the state last year, which is coached by Troy Terrapelli, who maybe 5 years before that has been Clovis High, coached by Steve and Adam Terrapelli. You wanted a coach.
Wait, there's a brother rivalry out there?
Yeah, you know what? Of course it is, but they also work really good with each other. And if it's not a head-up match, Clovis versus Buchanan, they're rooting for their brother's team. It's a neat relationship, and they're just doing a great job. And so you wanted even when Fresno State was the late stages of Fresno State program back in the 90s when I was wrestling there, you were having some people leave to coming through Clovis High going to Illinois. And, if you can avoid that, you want to avoid that. And so getting someone who was respected by those guys was really important. So, they can help steer the local talent to stay here. Because just like you're saying, if we retain just the local talent, we would be really competitive, in a few years after we build a team. I mean, the local talent is that good around here.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with that. And Tommy and I, on that episode I'm referencing, we were talking about the 5 best areas for high school wrestling in the whole country. And obviously Tommy's very biased to the Cleveland area and St. Ed's. But I think that California can compete with anybody.
I think so.
Yeah, so I guess last question. We don't want to steal too much of your time, but this process you guys have went through to bring the team back to where it's going to be a fully supported Division I program within a handful of years. You think that's something that can be repeated on a more regular basis on the West Coast? Because, there aren't a huge amount of programs out there anymore, and especially with Grand Canyon, unfortunately, being dropped this year. If we can build a few more in Oregon or another program like that out there, I think that's going to be a huge benefit to the wrestling community and obviously the whole wrestling community on the West Coast, because kids are going to have more opportunities. I mean, you got 800 high schools that support wrestling in California, and you only have a handful of Division I opportunities.
Yes, I do. In fact, we've had calls to people affiliated with Fresno State, for athletic directors at other schools and people like that saying, hey, we're all kind of watching how you're going to do this and what the model is, because I think there is some interest. And we're hoping like heck we're going to trend this now in the right direction. Because back, when Fresno State was dropped, then it just felt like dominoes. I think we lost Bakersfield. Of course, it came right back. Fullerton, Oregon. It just, so we're trying to reverse that trend. And I think by hiring Troy coupled with this area, I think is going to do really, really good things. And hopefully it picks up and it spreads because we need more West Coast wrestling.
100%. All right, well, great. We appreciate you hopping on with us. Do you have anything else you want to share with us? I know I'm going to try to get Troy on with us at some point and kind of talk about the opportunity. But anything else to share with us? The floor is yours.
None at this time other than to just say thanks for having me, and so excited you guys are talking about this, and everyone is beyond the valley is getting excited for Fresno to come back. It was gone too long, and we're going to be back, and I'm very confident Troy's going to take us to high grounds. So it's going to be exciting.
Awesome. Well, thanks a lot, Nick. Appreciate it very much.
Thank you, guys.
All right. Have a good night.
Take care.
Tom, are you still there? Well, hell, I lost Tommy at some point during this conversation. My Skype is still showing me that Tommy's here, but apparently Tommy is not here. Or I can't hear him, or I don't know. So I guess on... hello? Thought I heard him. I guess on that note, we'll end the show.
Hear me?
Oh my God, where did you come from, Tommy?
Dude, my we're so bush league. My speaker doesn't work. Hold on a second.
Could you hear me?
Yeah, the whole time I could hear you.
I'm like, I guess Tommy's not here. I guess it's just me. I guess we're done. All right, Tommy, did I lose you again? Hear me? I got you.
Jeez.
Hey, I got some terrible news for you also.
Speaker back. Sorry about that, brother.
I don't know if it was something with your speaker or if it was just my computer, but I looked down and the freaking call recorder had stopped, and I restarted it, so I don't know how much of that conversation we missed. I'm hoping it's only a short amount of time, but I don't know.
I saw it all.
No, I'm saying my call recorder on my computer that records this so that our audience can listen to it. It stopped.
When did it stop?
I don't know. That's my point. I don't know when it stopped. Yeah, I turned it back on. I turned it back on 10 minutes ago. So I know we got a majority of that Nick conversation, but I don't know when it stopped. Wow, we are on a roll today, Tommy.
We're kind of dilapidated. Not very
professional. Wow. Well, that happens sometimes. So
that Zinkin family, man. I mean,
they're awesome.
I wish we could have got into that, but the Zinkin family, they basically resurrected Fresno State wrestling. They're active in supporting MMA, wrestlers turned MMA, you being one of them.
Correct.
They're just really successful, polished, ambitious business people that, I mean, man, they're just impressive. I've never officially met Dwayne Zinkin, but I've texted with him, called him a little bit here and there just about various things. Just seems like a great family, man.
Yeah, 100%. Obviously.
So you like the representation they give you?
Yeah, Dwayne's been my manager for I don't know, 7 years, 6 years. I don't know. It's been either way. It's been a while.
Nick on today, was he more active in the whole Fresno State thing?
Nick was. Dwayne said he felt like he had to kind of step out a little bit, especially during the hiring process, because of his relationship with a lot of the MMA fighters. They were pushing certain candidates to him, and he felt like he didn't want to have any bias
that's cool
involved in there. So I think that was why he stepped out. Nick was very, very involved. Dennis Toledo, I know, who is a former Fresno State coach.
He's the man. I like Dennis.
He's a good guy. He was involved in the hiring process. So I know that the administration was at least smart enough to get a lot of these guys who deeply care about the program to be involved in the hiring process, which is fantastic.
Do you know one? And this is way back when, but I want to say the year Strip Matter wrestled Abyss in like the early 2000s.
Yeah.
Iowa wrestled at Fresno. This just gives you an idea of the wrestling out there.
I remember this. Or was it Iowa State?
Somebody wrestled at Fresno.
I think it was Iowa State, I believe.
And they had like 11,000 people.
11,000, yeah, I remember that.
It's wild, isn't it?
It is. It's crazy.
So
wait, speaking of big crowds, did you hear about, I think it's Rutgers versus Princeton's going to try to set the record over Oklahoma State, Iowa?
It ain't happening, but I love it.
Well, that'd be freaking awesome if they did. I mean, I love this one-upsmanship and this. Wrestling people are finally getting it. We got to put on a show. We have to put on.
I think Tom Ryan's got something up his sleeve.
Oh, you're leaking information.
No,
Tommy.
and I'm not. And that does not have. that does not have there's no subliminal message there. I just feel like I haven't talked to Tom in a while, but I think he's got something up his sleeve.
You are so full of it.
So, gosh, what did I wanted to say something else. Oh yeah, hypothetically, Ben, you're Troy Steiner. You just got named the head coach at Fresno State. You don't have a varsity team for a year and a half. You've got all this scholarship money, and you have no staff. What do you do?
You know what? I told Troy. I called him today so Troy coached me when I was younger. In high school. And I was talking to him and I realized he's actually in a really fantastic situation because, when most college coaches get hired, they get thrown into the fire. They got a season coming up. They got to train guys. They got to win right away, So he's got this period where he's got no team. He's got no schedule. He don't got to travel anywhere. He really doesn't have to recruit for a couple months here, starting, going into next year. So he's really going to kind of get to build it the way he wants to build it. I mean, and
no doubt.
That's kind of a great thing. I mean,
I think it starts with the staff, don't you?
Yeah, and so he doesn't need his staff right away. He doesn't need them next week, right?
Right.
So he can kind of take his time and really go try to recruit.
He really does need to get out in the community, do a bunch of clinics, buddy up with the Terrapellis and all the other big names out there in that region of California.
Yeah.
Get entrenched in the community while he methodically pursues hiring the best staff known to man.
Yeah, I don't know who's going to be.
I would go get Jake Varner, dude.
I was going to say Jake Varner's going to be the first name that came into my head. Obviously a guy like, he's my nemesis and I don't like him, but Chris Pendleton is from the area, so that'd be another good one. High level guy, knows the area. I think there's a handful of guys right from the area. I don't think you're going to get maybe an Eric Guerrero or a Jamil Kelly because they already have high positions other places. So I don't think you're going to get a guy like that. But
the other thing that if I were Troy Steiner I would consider is that every time you start a new job you have this honeymoon period where the people that hired you and everybody around you, like, it's easier to get things done. I would be really pushing the issue with the administration and the Zinkin family and anybody that wants to see the program advance with, hey, if I want to get Jake Varner and Chris Pendleton on my staff, I need X amount of money. I need this, and this. I mean, why not? I would be pushing. The worst they can do is say no. Yeah. But Jake Varner, I think he's a 4-time finalist. I know he won it twice.
Yeah, 4-time finalist.
2-time world Olympic medalist, champ, all that good stuff. I mean, I would get him because Jake Varner, the name, and Jake Varner physically appearing at dual meets and being in the room every day and walking into a kid's living room on the West Coast, it doesn't matter if he doesn't have much experience. I mean, that's what Troy Steiner's there for.
Yeah.
I would go get Varner. That'd be my top priority.
So, yeah, and I think there's a handful of kids that he can go be aggressive with and try to get one of these guys. But, yeah, I think it's fantastic, and I think you're 100%. And you know what? I didn't ask Troy this, but I would guess he's already – maybe we don't call them demands, but he's made sure that his needs are going to be met. Does that make sense? Right.
No, of course it does. And you know what? In 3 years, when he moseys on in there after he's got two All-Americans and they got 12th and they wanted to do better but they didn't, and it's all the shine has worn off of Troy, not because it has anything to do with Troy Steiner. It happens to everybody, right?
Yeah.
And when he's like, hey, I really need my locker room renovated, they're going to be like, whatever, Troy, that's number 17 on the list right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that shine, that honeymoon phase is gone. Right now, I would go get it while the getting's good.
Yeah, and I would guess he's kind of already done that. I don't know. He's down there. I'm gonna try to pop him on the show.
So I won't. Yeah. So I'm gonna not be on that because you're filming that in the next couple of days in the morning. I won't be available.
So just so all of our guests know, I have to head to Central Asia for this media tour. So I'm gonna be freaking all over the place next week. So Tommy and I are gonna kind of take a week off, but I'm gonna get an interview.
We're gonna go on a break.
What? Just 1 week. Just
you and I. No, you and I. We're gonna take a break from each
other. we need it, I guess. Yeah. Oh, jeez. More technical difficulties. Tommy, I popped my headphones off there. Oh my gosh. All right. I think I've had it. I think that's a wrap. I think we've had enough technical difficulties for one night.
Kind of a Bush League podcast, but at least we were speaking from the heart, right?
We always speak from the heart. So, any last words?
No, man, I'm excited about what's going on the West Coast. I mean, I'm really cheering for that. We need that out there, and you got Arizona State popping up and doing big things, and it'd be nice to get some West Coast love out there.
I agree. So let's just thank our sponsor, Defense Soap. We love you guys. Defend what you've built, and that's it for this week. So we'll talk to you guys next week, or we'll talk to you guys in 2 weeks. But I'll be talking to Troy Steiner in a couple of days. Have a great night, and that's it.
Sounds good, brother.
See ya.
See ya.